Let's return to our top story now. Matt Cunningham has brought us the raw data this morning. As if the facts weren't enough, the individual cases of children and sometimes babies being sexually assaulted in the Northern Territory. Well, we now know the most recent data shows us that sexual assault reporting is almost 5 times higher than anywhere else in Australia. This is after this became a political plaything, this issue, over the last couple of days. Peter Dutton went to the Northern Territory, repeated his calls for a royal commission. The government up there, response was it was a dog act. Joining me live now is the Nationals MP Keith Pitt. Keith Pitt, this is an incredibly distressing story. The data is shocking. A royal commission doesn't even seem like it's enough.
Laura, I think something's got to be done. It's got to be done now. This has been an issue that's been around far too long. And it is, to be honest, one of our greatest shames on this country that this continues to happen in remote Aboriginal communities. I think people need to enforce the law immediately. The Royal Commission that Peter Dutton is calling for is the right approach. But we've got to stop this nonsense between different levels of government. The name calling helps no one.
That's true. Anthony Albanese has been to Alice Springs. Can't pretend like this kind of stuff wasn't going on when you were in government. So what is the answer?
Well, I know the answer is not the voice. Another round of bureaucracy is not going to help anyone. And firstly, I think people need to be out there. Our law enforcement agencies need to be on the ground. Additional services need to be provided. But this is something that's entrenched in those communities. It's very difficult to break. I'll come back to the things that we had done around the cashless debit card and others, which did help address those challenges in some of those places around alcohol and gambling and illicit substances. But that's been taken away by the current government. That's their decision. That's their ideology, and that's a matter for them. But doing nothing is not the answer. I've seen your reporters in tears up there, Laura. Everyone knows how difficult this is. But the worst thing that can happen now is that the caravan moves on, the media leaves and goes and looks at something else. Yeah. The focus needs to be maintained and action needs to be taken.
No one's pretending that the voice is going to solve this. But you're right, reporters in tears, grown men in tears, and it is not uncommon. What is happening in Alice Springs across the Northern Territory. We have former police officers, former nurses that cannot get some of the things that they have seen out of their heads. Now, no one's pretending that the voice is going to fix these issues, but it might go some of the way to making this country whole, if you know what I mean. We're now having a committee process in Canberra. Are you open to any of the changes that could be made there, or do you just see recognising Indigenous people in the Constitution as more bureaucracy?
Laura, there's only one proposal on the table. That's the one that's been put forward by the federal Labor government.
And Julian Leese has put forward his one. Julian Leese has put forward his proposal and wants to make changes through this committee stage. Now, he's not confident, but that is another proposal. Do you even support that?
Well, that's not on the table. I'm talking about what is there, what's been proposed, the changes that are being put forward.
What's the point of a committee if you're not going to change some of these things?
Laura, I'm not part of the government. I saw what Mr Albanese has had to say. I've seen what those on the working group have had to say. They're not changing their minds, mate. I will almost guarantee that. And what we do know is that there is nothing in those proposals that talks about Peter Dutton, the Liberal Party, the Coalition or anything else. And I want the Australian people to be focused on what the proposed changes are. I think we need to be very careful that individuals understand what executive government means, because I'm not sure that all Australians understand, firstly, the importance of that and how that operates. So I want to see that information out there. And people need to make a decision on what's on the table, not what they might like or might want or might feel like. This is what's there.
Let me finally ask you about not childcare, aged care. This is a really important story, something that we've been covering on this program for a couple of years now. Through COVID, post-COVID, there are just simply not enough nurses. Now, this was a key election promise from Labor. Now, some within the industry are saying that that actually just can't be done.
Well, we said that all the way along, Laura, and you don't have to worry about things which might cancel or disappear in the future. They're going now. I've got a facility in Bundaberg which announced it was closing a few weeks ago. That's almost 50 beds. They've said that they simply are unviable on current and future policies. You need some 10,000 nurses that don't exist. This is the problem with dealing around feelings instead of facts. There's a lot of things we'd all like to have, but they are simply not available, and we now have facilities closing. I've written to Annika Wells. These beds need to be maintained or replaced, and the government needs to explain how that will happen.
All right, Keith Pitt, thanks so much for your time this morning. Appreciate it.
Great to be with you.